Hello and welcome to the Mat to Mastery podcast. I'm your host, Sheb, a martial artist and healing practitioner, and this podcast is where we explore the journey of transformation, both on and off the mat. I sit down with athletes, coaches, and leaders to dive into the mindset, discipline, and embodied wisdom that fuel performance, growth, and resilience. Whether it's in sport, business, or everyday life, Mat to Mastery is about uncovering what it really takes to pursue mastery, not just in what we do, but in who we are becoming. And today I'm very excited because I'm joined by Ryan Girdler, who is a former Australian Rugby League superstar who turned commentator, TV presenter, and motivational speaker. Ryan rose to fame with the Penrith Panthers, playing over 250 NRL games and scoring over 1,500 points. His career highlights include leading Panthers to a 2003 premiership and representing both New South Wales and Australia. Post-retirement, Ryan transitioned into sports media and became a respected commentator and host. He's also a sought-after motivational speaker, known for his authentic, inspiring talks on leadership, resilience, and teamwork. However, beyond media, Ryan is in active philanthropy. He supports causes like cancer research and in children's health. Despite his fame, he remains grounded and not only and in the process transforming men's life in men's retreat, which I'm busting to find out more about. Hello and welcome, Ryan.
Hey, Chev. So nice to be here. Thanks for that lovely introduction.
Oh, look, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited when you said yes that you will be on this podcast. I was just like I was doing cartwheels in my stomach. I was like, yes, 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 yes. So excited.
It was
So
great to catch up the other day, that's for sure.
it certainly was, my friend. Now, I want to get straight into peak performance, and we're going to move into identity and transition into what men's retreat looks like and how that has not only transformed your life in this current space, but also other people's life. However, let's just move on to how, we know that you played at the highest level in one of those most physically, not only physical, but also mentally demanding sports. Now, this is all about mindset. I want to dive deep into Ryan's mindset practices. At the time when you were in your peak performance state, what was the mindset practices that helped you stay consistent under pressure?
I would say, Chev, that for me, process was very important. I was very diligent with my processes. I was a bit of a box ticker. I liked things to move in a certain way throughout the week so that knowing that when I got into the change rooms just before the game, everything was in order. And I didn't need to think too much because I knew that I'd done the work. And for me, that was really important. Sometimes probably a little bit too important. I probably wasn't mentally mature enough to understand that if things didn't go the way that I would have liked through the week, that I could alter things on game day. That was probably one of my biggest challenges during my career. How to overcome that on game day if I hadn't felt like I'd been through the practices that I like to go through on a weekly basis. But generally, I didn't allow that to happen too often. I was always prepared and ready to go. So that was always sort of my mindset going into the week of preparation, coming out of the weekend's performance, and then having a couple of days just to relax, and then again, just getting back into that routine.
Mm. And as an elite athlete, no doubt there were times where you may have experienced some injuries or poor performance. How did you bounce back from that? What sort of self-talk or strategies did you implement for you to overcome that?
Yeah, I think a lot of it would then be falling back into those practices, like just doing what you know and letting it go. Like we used to have a term where we just like flush a performance. You've obviously got to go through and you've got to review it, which can sometimes be really painful. And you find at that level, most guys are their own harshest critics, so you don't really need a lot of people telling you about your performance, even though everyone wants to, and you read it in the media and the coach has always got something to say about it. you intuitively know that performance wasn't what it needed to be. And you just can't dwell on it for too long because that can really hinder, the next week's performance. So yeah, we used to sort of spend a day on it, flush it, have like a rehabilitation day where it would be managing the physical sense part of the game and the body, and then turning to that next week because really it moves so quickly throughout the season. If you're bogged down, one loss can then turn into a couple of losses that can turn into like a string of bad performances, and that's the last thing you want.
Mm. Yeah, I get that. I get that because the more you hold on to that, the more
Totally.
you're going to experience those situations and those scenarios. So better to let it go and move on. What do you think that true mastery in relation to mastery with regards to sport, is it mental, physical, or emotional regulation in terms of mastery? Where does that all fit in? How would you define that based on your experience?
Well, I think it's a balance of all those three things that you spoke about, Sheb, and knowing which rein to pull and where you're falling down and having the emotional intelligence just to always know where you are. You spoke earlier about like being grounded and being present. I had no problems with that because I was always kind of really hard on myself, and I had people around me that would tell me how it was. My parents and my family always, made sure they kept my feet well and truly on the ground. Um, so having all those three things in order are the key. And then also, as I said, recognizing when one of those things wasn't where it needed to be, and then being able to sort of pull things apart and get back and work on that part of it, whether it was physical, whether it's mental. A lot of the times, especially with rugby league, it is physical. I know with wrestling and judo, it's the same thing. And so sometimes you get to a Thursday, you've got to play on the Friday night, or you've come off an Origin game on a Wednesday and you're playing on the Friday, and you feel like you've been involved in a car crash. So that week it's basically just about the physical, because mentally you know you're going to be there. Physically, like how is the body feeling? And then it's about the massage and the ice bath and the resting and the regulation of your heart rate, and then it's sleep as well. On a Wednesday night after an Origin, you might come out of the sheds at 1 in the morning, um, and you've just been in front of 50 or 60,000 people. The lead up's been enormous. It's been 10 of the most exciting days of the year. It's like Christmas when the Origin comes around, and then you need to go out and perform, go back to the shed, and then you need to go back to your room and try and get some sleep so that you can go straight back into preparing to play for your club in 2 or 3 days' time. So then it just becomes totally about the physical. And so, yeah, as you get more experienced, you just learn how to deal with those different situations. And at the back end of the career, that is when you spoke about mastery. That is when you just know what you need to do.
Mm. Would a lot of that have a lot to do with trust and knowing?
Well, I think definitely the mental side of it, because especially when you're stepping away from representative football and you're going back to club football, um, the game changes. The speed, the game slows down a little bit. You're seeing things really clearly. So you kind of know that part of your preparation is going to be okay. Sometimes finding the motivation to get out there, you might go from playing in front of a big audience on a Wednesday night and going playing in front of 10 or 15,000 in Canberra on a really cold night in the middle of July, and then it's like, oh, do I really want to come out of this tracksuit, get the body in, to the uniform, and try and run out and warm up and play again? So, but you just learn how to put yourself in those situations so that regardless of whether or not you actually want to be there, you have to be there. And then that's when the discipline comes in, and that's when I think the experience and the discipline um, really, really needs to help you out, to guide you through those situations. Because I don't know if you've ever been in competition, and sometimes it's the last place you feel like being, but you can go out and perform anyway. Yeah, they're the tough moments of professional sport, I would say.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I entered the competition mats on Sunday, and that was my first time in over, I don't know, 6 or 7 years.
Yeah,
My whole purpose and aim was to just be present, be composed, and,
yeah,
and just breathe through it. Because I remember last time I competed, I had this massive um, nervous system crash. Like, if I just had this
yeah, 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 yeah.
element of just crack, I froze on the mat and I gassed out within seconds.
Oh no. And
So
how were your energy reserves this time? Did it work?
way better,
Yeah,
way
great.
better. I can safely say that I succeeded in my goal. I
Yeah,
didn't win the match. I didn't
yeah,
win the match, but it didn't matter. I
yeah,
enjoyed it, so I totally get that.
yeah,
It takes a lot of preparation, mentally, physically, emotionally,
yeah,
and then it's just like it's game time. Okay,
yeah.
let's focus. Let's get it sorted. However, what I would love to know, with the experience that you've gained on the field, those mental processes, those feelings of, experiencing those moments of pressure, how did you apply that? What ways did you apply that towards your towards off the mat, whether that might be, with your family, with what you're doing now for men's retreat? What sort of baggage or experience or tools have you taken from that experience into what you're doing today?
Yeah, well, I was sort of plucked out of school at 17 and put straight into a um, like an academy. So basically just pulled out of any sort of formal education and put straight into a system at 17. So not that I was, not that I was ever going to go on and do anything academically at that point in time. I struggled to sit still in a classroom. But so for me, those things that you spoke about were always going to be something that I had to apply post career because I didn't have any qualifications. And so I figured out pretty early that if I could put myself through that and I had the discipline to go through like 15 seasons of NRL, um, application wasn't going to be a problem. Hard work wasn't going to be a problem. Being commitment, I was always loyal. I played for basically one club my whole time. I didn't like change. So I had some foundations there that were going to put me in really good stead post my rugby league career, and I found that's exactly what happened. Sure, um, I was going to throw myself into the deep end of something. I didn't really know what it was. I had opportunities to go straight into the media, but I actually felt like at the end of my career, I needed some space. I needed to get away from the game. I'd obviously been so heavily involved in it from the age of like about 9 or 10 years old that I really desperately sort of wanted a little bit of a break from it. I'd watched all of my friends go to university and go on gap years and travel, and I watched them all go to 21st birthdays when I was playing on the weekend and all those different things where you sit back and you go, yeah, that's okay. I mean, this is obviously the commitment that I've made to the craft, and you're obviously well paid and whatever it may be. So for me, coming out, I wanted to experience some of those things that I'd missed. I wanted to travel. I just wanted to not tie myself into any sort of career straight away, so that I could experience some different things in life that I felt like I didn't miss out on, but I'd chosen another path during that time. So, as you know, my wife very well, Katja, she's from Germany. Um, Ironically, we met about 2 months after I retired, and she was, on a trip around Australia, and we met, and then I ended up going over and spending like 6 months with her in Germany the year after I retired, which was fantastic, just to, you know, just to dive into another culture and just be over there anonymously for that period of time was just such a beautiful experience. And then came back and then end up opening up the cafes. Always had seen my parents run small business and, saw my dad work 365 days a year. And so my mum, they had news agents, they had butcher stores. So I just, that's all I had ever really seen and experienced. So I knew what it took, and I knew that they could help me with some of the finer details. So then I opened Girdler's Cafes up, which are, I think there's 6 of them now. And I'm still involved in, but not as much as I used to be. And yeah, I just built them from the kind of ground up, and really enjoyed that process of those things that I spoke about, just applying all those principles, really.
Right. And how did you get into men's retreat, now transforming men's lives?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Like I started doing breath work. I had, transitioning out of professional sport is quite complicated, as you can imagine. And so I dealt with a lot of inner dialogue, negative inner dialogue for a long period of time, but, it was always manageable.
Mm.
But it was starting to get a little bit destructive, and creeping into alcohol, and some bad habits that just weren't serving me, bad eating, not looking after my body, and those things. And my wife dragged me one day to a meditation retreat. This is about 10 years ago now, and I promised her that I would go, and I promised her that I would do it for 3 months. So I learned over the weekend. It was one of the hardest weekends I've ever had to sit through, like sitting with myself in meditation, with never doing anything like that before, was really difficult. And so I came out, and I said that I would practice 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes at night. And fortunately, I got to know the guy that was giving. He's an ex-pro surfer, and I knew him before I went and did the course. And then he gave me a couple of tips around breath work, like but pranayamas, so traditional Indian style breath works that weren't about like the deep journey, but basically just about stilling the mind, and allowing you to sit in meditation. So I used them, and then the meditation thing just grew on me, and I just saw the change in myself. I saw the change in the people around me, the control of the inner dialogue. And so yeah, and from then on, I became a better husband, a better father, a better son, and better for my work colleagues. And I just saw a difference in all parts of my life. And it got to the point where about 3 or 4 years ago, my wife said, like, you believe so much in what you do, and I do a lot of movement and calisthenics as well. That you need to actually, there's a lot of men out there that would appreciate hearing about your journey. So I started talking about the journey, and then became a breathwork facilitator. And then with a mutual friend of ours, who we both have a lot of respect for, who's a very special individual, we put together the men's retreats, and yeah, that's how that all came about. And I'm super passionate about that. I'm continually learning. I'm continually in my own work, and that allows me to be of service to other men.
That's incredible. I love the transition from the go, 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 ticking all the boxes and just doing what you need to do on the field, to now all of a sudden a whole new different form of being in a
Yeah.
whole new different state, different environment. I wonder, and this curiosity just popped in, if you applied what you know today through breath work, meditation, learning how to still the mind, and if you were to take that and package that when you were playing as a professional athlete, how different might your performance had been, do you think?
Completely different.
Wow.
Completely different. If only, like, even the fact, like, I go through, I take guys on journeys through just like breathing and nose breathing. Like, most people don't know how to generally just breathe day to day.
Right.
So if someone, and my nose was busted when I was a kid, so I breathed out of my mouth my whole career.
Wow.
There was no settling techniques. No one even spoke about breathing when I was playing. Obviously, it's come into the game a little bit more now. But even if I just understood like the benefits of nose breathing, not just to calm myself down, and not to regulate the nervous system, but just to actually breathe while I was performing, and the benefits of actually nose breathing during performance, during preparation, like lifting weights, whatever. If you've got control of your breathing, everything just gets exaggerated in the results that you get. So I reckon 20 or 30%. I would have been a 20 or 30% better athlete if I would have just known some of those different techniques, and I would have also had the capacity mentally just to put myself, in the right state or frame of mind at the right time. As you said before, like nervous energy, going through that, not having a toolkit to understand how to actually use that or how to control that, just sitting in it, unregulated and you burning energy and not having control of any of that part of my being while I was at the top of that sport for however long I was there. So yeah, but I mean, it's all part of the journey, Shep, isn't it? And
That's
I don't have obviously any regrets. I am where I am right now, and maybe if I was breathing and knew all this stuff back then, I might have gone off and been a free diver. I mightn't have played rugby. Who knows? But
that's right.
here we are. You know.
Yeah, I mean it's wonderful that you've got both ends of the, experience, and this is something that you could take and share to others and, and get them to sort of
Yes,
experience the benefits. So you've got that
totally.
knowledge anyway. So which is what you're doing anyway. So you're sharing that experience and knowledge with other athletes and other people. So it's wonderful what you're doing. So I wonder during those men's retreats, what has been one of your biggest insights that you've gained?
Like men, basically, we tend to live on an island. And so a lot, like we're really the last person that we look after, essentially, right? We make sure most of us look after everyone else, and finally we get back to ourselves. And I think educating men that if they start looking after themselves and they allow their cup to be full and watch what spills over, and everyone else benefits from that. So kind of getting men to understand that they need to put the mask on themselves first before they can help the others, and seeing the surprise at men, because that's just not how we've been conditioned or programmed, right? And so being able to show men different techniques and different ways that they can deal with anxiety and some of the different stresses in life, just by sitting around a fire, simplifying things, sitting around a fire,
Mm.
you'd be surprised. Like men come in and they've got the weight of the world on their shoulders and it's all relevant to them. And sharing's just such a beautiful thing for men because it doesn't happen that often. But what's also really powerful, Sheb, is listening. And
Mm.
these men who might come out and talk about their experience, they might have relationship issues with their children, they might have illness in their family, financial issues, whatever it may be. And then the guy next to him talks about his problems, and it makes, in comparison, the guy sitting next to his problems just seem that little bit lighter. It's like, man, you're going through that, I'm going through this. And
Mm.
I'll say this, like we get usually up to like 15 guys in for those 3 day, they're like 3 day retreats. And I've had a lot of success with groups of guys on a sporting level. And you certainly have stronger bonds with guys that you have success with in that team dynamic. Um, I would say that by the time we leave these retreats on day 3, we are that connected
Wow.
that we are tighter than what I am with anyone that I ever played with. And I've known these guys, and I played with some guys for 10 years, and we've known these guys for 3 days.
That's wild.
It's crazy, yeah. And so that's what I get. I get goosebumps when I talk about these guys are coming in there, and they don't really know. A lot of them don't really know what to expect, um, and they are leaving like new men.
So the modern day men, what are they hungry for?
Um,
What does it all boil down to based on what you've already observed and experienced?
for me, self-realization.
Mm.
Like knowing that you are actually in control of your own healing journey. You don't rely. I'm not saving anyone. I'm guiding you into be able to save and help yourself. You are actually are the answer, and it takes things that men actually like discipline. Yeah, be disciplined. Like we don't get there and we don't all have a cuddle and everyone has a cry and then we go home. No, 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 no. No, you need to apply certain disciplines to your life because
Mm.
it's just not a magic pill that you're going to take for 3 days. You're going to go home and everything's going to be wonderful. Like it's work, and I work every day, and that work and that discipline, as you know, gives me the freedom. And that's what it is. And that's what it is for the men that come in. They realize that, what is your anything? I have guys that come in and say, oh, I will do anything for my family. Well, will you? Will you get up and do 20 minutes of meditation in the morning, some breath work and some meditation at night? Oh, I don't know. Well, I mean, what's anything mean to you? And so, we actually just, we reshape the way that these guys think about different things, and we challenge them on different areas of their life where they're just not aware of it, and they don't know how those little changes can shape their lives moving forward. And it's not just about the big step. Oh, look, I went from here to here in 6 months. It's the little wins. You got to acknowledge the little wins in everything that you do. Because, if I look back at when I started 4 years ago to the man I am now, it's a massive step.
Wow.
It's acknowledging all those little moments, all those disciplines, and they dovetail together. It's like, okay, so I'm doing breath work, and that's really calming my nervous system when I come home after meetings. I'm going through this simple process. Okay, so at the end of that, it feels kind of good just to sit there. So all of a sudden, I'm meditating for 10 minutes. So I'm breathing and meditating. So I'm doing that. You know what? I might start to move the body now because I'm starting to feel really good. Oh, so then I start moving the body. I look up, I do some calisthenics. I go to the gym. I go for a run. I walk. Oh, I'm feeling good now. Now I might, what's my diet actually like? Oh, I might cut this out. I might do this. It all dovetails in. One thing leads to the other, and you need to acknowledge them all. And there's no finished product, as you know. The work just continues, and that is the path that we just show the guys that it's there for them if they want to take it.
Mm. Was there a particular moment during retreat that affirmed that this was what you're meant to be doing? This is your purpose.
Oh, okay. Um, Yeah, I think, you have so many special moments with individuals because how it works is you go through these, over the 3 day period, you go through these different modalities with different guys, but the special parts are really in between those moments. And I remember I had a conversation with a guy. We go down to Tabulum, and one of the activities that we do down there is we go down the rapids on tubes, right?
Oh,
And yeah, it's amazing. But it's also the learning in that. Like, the easier you go down the rapids, the less resistance you put up, the more you just go with the flow of the water. It represents life, right? And you get these guys trying to paddle and this and that, they get stuck behind rocks. And the first couple of goes, you see that with them, and then you just keep educating and say, hey boys, just let go, let the water take you. You just allow. And I remember I was having a really good discussion at the back end of one of the tube rides with this guy, and he had all these problems with family, this. And I remember I said to him, I said, when you start changing your attitude from things are happening to me,
mm,
or things are actually happening for me, and I'm choosing the lesson in every one of these things that happens to me. Like, what is the learning in it? When you change your mindset to that, oh, not here I go again, the victim, oh, it's happening to me. No, no, no. Oh, okay, this is happening again. What's the loop? What's the cycle?
mm,
Okay, what do I need to change? What can I learn from this? What is this actually giving me an opportunity to do? and and he was sitting there, he's going, all right. So it's like every time something comes at you,
mm,
change your perspective on it. That is so powerful. And then I remember, and then he came back to a retreat a couple of months later, and he said to me, you know that one little piece of information has had such an impact on his life, you know that like it was so profound for him, that moment. Do you know what I mean? So, and then I just thought, if I can impact, it's actually not about me at all, but if I can guide these guys, with my experiences, with what I've learned, and give them something that they can take away that can make it have an impact on their life, that is all there is.
so
That
beautiful.
is all there is for me.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. What does mastery mean to you now? So is it the same as what it was, or what meaning that it had for you as you when you were working or playing as a professional footballer?
Well, what does mastery mean to me? Like, isn't that saying, Sheb, the master always wants to be the student and the student always wants to be the master? So I feel like for me, I'm just always the student.
Mm.
I'm just always learning. I'm always putting myself around people that are like-minded and that I learn it off and challenge me. And I take away, mastery or the journey to mastery um, is also about taking away low vibration activity. Like, what is holding me back from ascending into, whatever it is path that you're on, like
What's low vibration?
alcohol, drugs, pharmaceuticals, porn, like destructive inner dialogue, like all of those things that hold you down. Yeah, that you're making a choice. You're actually making a choice. You mightn't think you are, but there's actually a choice for you to break free of that. Once you start letting go of all that, and the vibration raises, and then you see the impact that that has on the people around you and you, and then that is the path to mastery, I would say. And I let go of all of that stuff maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Mm.
Coffee, like I was heavily addicted to coffee and caffeine and all those different things, and always around it in the cafes. And about 8 years ago, I said, I'm not having any more caffeine. It's just not serving me, because it was just playing with my adrenals, and I was living on it. I was having it of a day while I was at work. Then I'm going to work on radio at night. I'm having more just to get me up. And I was just chasing it always for a reason. I wasn't just having it to enjoy it as a ritual. I love it as a ritual, but yeah, I was chasing it all the time. So all of that sort of stuff there is being out of your center, and I would call that low vibration activity.
I love it. Earlier you mentioned self-realization. What does that mean to you?
Um, well, it means that you don't need a guru.
Hmm.
You don't need anyone other than you to actually turn within, face some of the shadows. Like, we've all got the shadows in there. We've all got trauma. We've all been through situations that have shaped us as who we are as adults. Um, and there's therapists out there, and there's pharmaceuticals, and there's lots of different ways that you can try and heal. And they've all got merit. And I'm not here to judge any one of them. But for me, self-realization was, I am actually the answer.
Oh, I love that.
I am the answer. My discipline, the decisions that I make, the way that how I choose to deal with situations that come in, or problems, or, like,
Mm,
it's
powerful.
it's just it's on me, and I don't want to blame anyone. It's no one else's problem. It's actually just being accountable for your own journey. I think
Mm,
accountability, for the masculine, is really, really important.
mm, yeah.
Really.
If your younger self could sit in one of your men's retreats today, what do you think he might think or say?
Get me out of here. What the hell am I doing? Yeah, like he certainly wasn't ready for he certainly wasn't ready or open for that kind of work. Very, like, when I was, as I said, I was emotionally pretty immature in my career, because I got taken very young and put in a system where, my they wiped my bum, they paid my bills, they got me a house, they did this for my parents. Everything was done for me for like 18, 16 years of my life.
Mm,
And then all of a sudden that stops. And it's like, oh wow, how do I actually do that? Oh, what do you need to wait in a doctor's surgery? What, you need to wait for the physio? Oh, you don't go straight in and have x-rays? Oh, okay. Like, all of those things that you just think are just normal. Um, yeah, you're confronted with it all at once when all those things stop. So, um, So yeah, while I was playing, I was just eating off that silver spoon. That's what it was, and all and understandably so. All they want is your best performance on the weekend. That's all anyone cares about, not your well-being. Your well-being, if it's affecting your performance, they might have a look at it. But if you're playing good and you're drinking 4 nights a week and you've got all these problems off the field, they don't care. So I think where the game's going now is they're understanding that the player welfare and the well-being of the player from Monday to Friday is just as important as the performance. And again, they correlate. There's connection there that dovetails. So especially for longevity and those sorts of things. So the game's changed a lot and for the better. But when I was playing, there was nothing about anything that was other than getting the result.
Mm. I love that. Um, for all the men that are struggling out there, and there are a lot of them out there, what is something that you could say to them to encourage them to become the best version of themselves? What is something that you could tell them to keep them going, to inspire them to maybe come in and join in to one of your men's retreats?
Just think about the most destructive thing you do all week, and men know what it is, and cut it back and start slow. And it's not like, oh God, look, I do this, and then I need to cut it all, and it's going to happen next week. It's a journey. Start the path and see where it leads. Don't feel like you need to stop it all at once. You don't need to cut the cord. You need to just slowly start moving things around and just and have faith um, in what comes with that, and do something out of the ordinary. Find a retreat. There's lots of stuff going on there. Like, do something that um, the inner critic or the blokey bloke, that get you know get out of your own way and try something a little bit different for the sake of yourself and for the people around you.
That's amazing. I love that. I love that. Just one bite at a time, just don't have to go gun ho. And often that's why people fail because they go straight in and it's like, no, you don't have to. It's just one step at a time, one bad habit at a time.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, God, it took me ages and that's just organically sort of happened for me. I didn't really have a plan. I'm like, oh, coffee's not serving me. All right, I'll get off coffee. And then, okay, yeah, like I'm eating too many muffins while I'm standing here at work serving coffee. I'm going to ease off on the muffins and the banana bread. Oh, okay. No coffee, no banana bread. Oh, someone put me in a box. And then it's like, okay, well then my wife wants me to go to a meditation. Yeah, okay, well I'll do that. And that's what it was. Like I didn't get hit by lightning, and
Yeah.
it wasn't this great awakening for me. It can be for some people, but
Mm,
for me it was like that. And I did it step by step, and as I said, acknowledge the small steps
mm,
for the giant leap. The
mm,
giant leap is when you look back a couple of years after you've been in the work, in the practice. Don't beat yourself up. Go easy on yourself. We're so good
yes.
at, oh, I didn't do this. Oh, I didn't do this. Oh, I had a coffee and I said I was going to have coffee. Like, just give yourself a break. Honestly, give yourself a break. And you're human. So things are going to happen. There's going to be times where you're not satisfied with yourself, and that's cool. But don't be too hard on yourself and get back to it when you can.
I love that. There are a lot of things that men could be talking about today that they're often not talking about with their mates. What is
Yeah.
something that you could encourage them to start talking about? What are some of the things that we can start talking to men about? That
Um, well, this is that's an interesting question, Chair, because it's funny. Relationships change when you start doing the work. A lot of people that you kind of thought that were your friends fall away because there's no common interest anymore. The guys that you used to go and have a schooner with, all of a sudden they're not of interest anymore. So, you start shedding some of these people around you that were actually keeping you where, where they are, where they're stuck, essentially. Um, so the conversations that you find that you start having when you're doing the work are about how you're feeling, um, the work that you're doing, inspiring others to actually, hey, I'm doing this, I'm trying this, or how's this going for you? Oh, I did this. Yeah. And then you actually start having some meaningful conversations with men about their journey and about their story, and you can still have great conversations about sport and family and all those different things. But yeah, I have the relationships I have now with the men in our community, because you all have that one thing in common, and that one thing is you all want to be better, and you all headed on a path, all at your own speed, all in your own way. But I'm interested in hearing about someone else's journey and where they're at, because I can take something from that. But I don't really give a shit about someone telling me about how many beers they had last week and if they won $50 in the pokies and all that sort of stuff. It just, it just changes. It changes. And the conversations then just become inspiring
Mm. Yeah, and authentic, right?
and
Because
real.
we're really tapping into that essence of who we really are.
It's just real.
That's
You
it.
just you get rid of the small talk. It's gone.
Yeah.
There's no place for it anymore.
So
I want
relatable.
to talk about the weather. I don't want to talk about those things. Like, I want to hear what you're doing and what's going on, and I want to learn from your experience. And hopefully you can learn from mine. And then we connect again. And next time we see each other, there you just update that.
I love it.
It's
I love
great. It's amazing.
I love it. Ryan, what do you want to be remembered for beyond the jersey, beyond the business? What is it that Ryan wants to be remembered for? What legacy are you leaving behind?
I don't care. I have absolutely don't care. I
Okay.
have, I just have, like, I really don't care. It really doesn't interest me. Um, I just want to, while I'm here, I just want to be like the best man I can be for my family. I want to help as many men as possible. And then whatever comes after that, I could not give a shit, to be honest.
That's so, talk about surrendering.
Well, I've had some great learning over the last couple of years with, like it took us half an hour to get set up today because we moved last week, and I actually, moved while I was away visiting my wife's family in Germany. And like, I'm usually, I like to be like, have things in order, and as you can tell with my process, and and buying the house and selling and all that sort of stuff. And this is the first time in my life, because it happened about 8 or 9 months ago, that I didn't let any sort of emotional attachment get involved in any of the process of buying, selling, moving. Like, let go of the whole thing, like just literally let go of the steering wheel just to see what it would happen. And manifestation's been a big thing for my wife and I for a while now. And along the way, we kind of found a few houses, and we were like, oh, yeah, that's the one, that's the one. And you try and convince yourself, and then doesn't work out, and you go, oh, okay. And literally just let it go. Okay, there must be another one out there. The belief in, something else. And then we did that about 3 times. And then we ended up in like the most perfect place. Like, it could not, we look back at the other ones, and it's like, thank God
Yeah.
we didn't, because sometimes you force things. You believe that you need it, and you convince yourself that that's the one, and you force it, and you actually force your way into it. And then you get there, and at some point you think, oh, why was I attached to this place? What was it? Yeah, we just let go of literally all of that part of the process, and watched it from a different sort of perspective. And yeah, like, it was a pretty incredible process, and we're really happy with how it ended up.
And would you say that that's the power of doing all the inner work? That's the result of doing the inner work?
Yeah, well, that's the whole piece around non-attachment. Like, the non-attachment piece, like, that's a whole other piece within itself.
Mm.
And we talk a lot about non-attachment, but that's just living, like, and I always say to the guys when we're on retreat, like, I'm not selling you something that I'm not doing. I'm living this. The things that I'm showing you now, the things that I'm actually talking about, the only reason I can actually offer this service is because this is the way that I live. And if I wasn't doing that, I wouldn't be here. And
Mm.
again, with the whole attachment thing, it's easier to tell people don't not to be attached. But can you do it? Can you be not attached to things? And that's a piece that my wife and I've been working on for probably 5 or 6 years, and that's around self-realization as well, non-attachment. And yeah, we got to confront it. We got to really sit in front of it and are we attached? And then we worked out that we actually weren't, and we laughed about all those things all the way through. So yeah, the proof, as they say, is in the pudding. And again, that's all part of that dovetailing into, as you said, doing the work, having your practices in place, the food, this, that, then you start going into more detail. It's like, okay, the attachment pieces, and you start, working on parts of the shadow that then you can recognize, because you're feeling like you really intuitively start being in touch with you.
Yeah.
All the kind of the falls away, and yeah, you get to really start knowing you, which is highly recommended.
I love it. I love it, Ryan. I'm so with you, my friend.
I know you are.
Is there any final words of wisdom from Ryan Girdler that you wish
Oh,
to share?
final words of wisdom, God. What would I say? What would I say?
What
Final
would you
word.
say to your younger self?
Um, it's okay. It's actually okay. You're actually perfect. You're exactly where you need to be. And I would say that to everyone, like, because it's all part of the journey. It's all part of your story, and you can alter it at any moment when you're ready. And it sometimes it takes people, they've got to hit the bottom of the barrel, to realize that there's something more. Sometimes it's listening to, someone speak, or it's seeing something that changes them, or whatever that is. Um, and intuitively, like, just be open to following. If start listening to the gut, and don't always be distracted by the mind, and start feeling into things a little bit more. I know that's a little bit esoteric, but it's true. I mean, I know that's how you guys live, and that's a great skill as well. So I don't know whether that's the
Yeah,
final word, but
yeah.
I'll leave it there.
No, I love it. I want to thank you so much for your time and your words of wisdom. I could keep asking you questions, but I don't take up any more of your time. I really appreciate it, Ryan. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I will put the link to your events so that people can go check it out and start transforming their lives to become a better, brighter version of themselves. So once again, thank you, thank you, thank you for joining the Mat to Mastery podcast. I'm greatly appreciative of you and the amazing work that you're doing.
Thank you, Sheb, and thank you for the work that you were doing as well.
Thank you, my friend. Okay, stop recording.